Hi, this is Billy Tarasio from Modern Law. And today, I don't even know why I haven't talked about this subject sooner, but today I am answering the very, very important question of should you allow your children to decide where they live? At what point should you let your children decide where they live? At what point should you get input from your children on where they should live? And I think that my answer is probably going to shock a lot of you. Um, but I've thought about this a lot, and I've looked at how children end up as adults after divorce time and time and time again. I'm always talking to people in my office about their experience as a child. Now that they're adults, if they were brought up in a house with two places, and there are people whose parents' divorce scarred them terribly, and then there are kids who grew up with divorced parents and they really aren't scarred, they really aren't damaged. And the number one difference, the most important thing, the most damaging thing to children is not the loss of their parents' marriage or having to go between two houses. The most damaging thing to a child is the loss of a parent. And so that brings me back to the question of should you let your kids decide where they live? And the answer is fundamentally, absolutely, undeniably no. Your children should not decide where they live. Your children should have time with both of their parents whenever possible. And I made this mistake. My ex-husband and I made this mistake when we separated in, I think, November or December. And then we have a kiddo who's got a birthday in February. And for his birthday, we were talking to him and we were saying, hey, it's mom's day on your birthday, and you can have a sleepover at mom's house with a couple friends, or you can go to dad's house and have a sleepover there with a couple friends, and your siblings won't be around because we have 4 kids. And that, giving him that decision and putting that pressure on him, like, shut him down. And we had no idea the pressure we were putting on him in asking him to even make that choice. Like, the closer your kids are to your separation, the more important it is that you do not put them in any sort of position where they feel like they're choosing between their parents, because that is terrible, terrible pressure that they should not feel. This goes against the way many of us parented when we were in one household, where we really wanted to know what our kids thought. And it's not that I don't want to know what my kids think. And I think that you should want to know what your kids think too. But giving them the wrong choices, giving them the impression that they should choose where they get to live, puts terrible pressure on them, and puts them into a place where they now have to make a loyalty decision. And if they've got pressure coming from one side or the other side to take sides, if they've got mom telling them, your dad left us, and he's cut us off from money, and he's bad and he's wrong, you should just live with me. And then dad says, well, do you want to live with your mom? Now the kid is in a loyalty bind. Do I reject my mom who's asked me to come live with her because my dad's giving me the option? Or do I reject my dad by saying, I want to go live with my mom? So it's not good. It should be absolutely fundamentally avoided, especially the younger your kids are. Now, if your kids are 17, 18, 18, obviously they get to do what they want. 16, they're going to have more input. But the decision and the input and the conversation that you have should not be surrounding anything having to do with their relationship with their mother or their relationship with their father. And it should really all be about, their life. If they are 17 and they currently get to walk to school and all their friends live in this neighborhood and this is where they want to be and that's why, that's different from asking them, who are you going to live with, mom or dad? Or, what type of schedule do you want? Just, your children are freed from that if you become a little bit more structured post-divorce than you were when you lived in one house. And a little bit more structured means you give them very clear rules and very clear expectations, and it will set them free. It will set them free if you say, this is how mom's house runs. And I know dad does things differently. And it doesn't mean that dad's better or mom's better. It's just the way it is. Mom and dad are two different parents, and you're going to learn different things from both mom and dad. And there you go. Guess what? No one has asked them to choose what's better. You haven't made your case as to why your rule is better than dad's rule. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Try to live in an environment where your children have very clear boundaries when it comes to, mom's parenting time and dad's parenting time. Try the best you can. The children who do the best and the families who do the best draw clear boundaries on mom's time and dad's time, which is crazy because you would think that some level of flexibility, depending on what's going on, might be the best thing to do. But, I've looked at thousands and thousands of families, and I can tell you over and over again that that's not the case. The kids who do the best and the families who do the best restructure in a way that's pretty darn structured, pretty darn systematic. And there's not a lot of, I want to go to dad's house. Okay, I'll drive you to dad's house. That gets people into a terrible, terrible position. And it also can really hurt your case, because if you enter into a parenting agreement and then you're not following the parenting agreement for whatever reason, that can really come back to bite you. So I know that this is a hard topic, and one that is probably more important than any other, is how are our kids going to be after we get divorced? And so if you can follow these tips, things will be smoother. Your divorce will be easier. Your relationship with your children will be less pressure, and they will feel less pressure if you can make sure to take decisions away from them that they should never get to make. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you're struggling with these issues, we get it. Contact us at Modern Law. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.